everyone, so today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. So I did one of these videos last year and I really enjoyed it and I thought it was a lot of fun, but I didn't answer all of the questions last year. So I figured this year I would actually answer every single question that there is in this tag and finally do a full mid-year book freakout tag. Since there are so many books to talk about, I'm going to get right on into the video. So the first question is the best book that I have read in 2018. And for that one, I'm going to give it to A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro, and I absolutely love this book so much, and I've really kind of gotten a little obsessed with it. Like, I just can't, not read the third book, right now. I need it in my life. It hasn't come in the mail yet, so I'm still waiting on it, but I have just become so enamored with this book. I absolutely love it. So thank you, Rocky, for recommending this book, and I totally recommend everyone else to read it if you haven't, and just check it out. It's so wonderful. The next question is the best sequel that I've read in 2018, and that goes to Bruja by Zoraida Cordova, and this is a sequel to Labyrinth Lost, which I read earlier this year as well, and I absolutely love this book so much. I don't have my own physical copy yet, but I'm planning on getting it. I think I'm going to get it whenever Bright We Burn by Kiersten White comes out, so I'm going to buy those two at the same time. But I absolutely love this book so much. It's so incredible, and I love it. It doesn't get enough hype. And the next question is a new release that I haven't read yet, but I definitely want to read it, and that is Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. And I am so excited to read this book. It has a Latinx main character. She is fat, she is a witch, or she practices Wicca, and I am really, really excited to get to this book. I've heard some really great things about it, and it kind of sounds a little bit like Heathers, and I'm like, I love Heathers, so I'm super down to read this book and see if I like it as well. Number 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And for that question, I'm going to go with Bright We Burn by Kiersten White. And this does come out in July, but I think that's technically the other half of the year, right? So I'm definitely counting that for this question. And I've already read this book, and it was freaking incredible. It was amazing. Just one of my all-time favorite book series ever. And this book completely ripped my heart out, tore it to pieces, put it back together, tore it apart again. And I'm just so excited for this book to come out so I can have the actual physical copy of this book. I'm just so ready for it. Question number 5 is biggest disappointment, and this one goes to Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. And I had a few different books lined up for this question, but I wanted to go with a book that I had fully read that I didn't DNF, and so this is the only one that I could think of that I hadn't DNF'd, and that just was a complete disappointment to me. I had hyped this book up in my head so much, and everyone had said how much they loved it. It was so amazing, such a great book, and I just didn't like it. There was just so many problems that I had with this book, with characterization, with plot holes, with just the plot development as in general, and I really didn't like the way that she wrote teenagers. It felt kind of cliche, kind of two-dimensional, very, cheesy, and there were so many things I just didn't like about this book. For me, one of the only redeeming qualities of this book is that it has a really, really amazing audiobook, and so if you are interested in adult fiction and you like that kind of stuff, I don't like it. But if you do, then you might want to check out the audiobook for this one because it's a really, really great audiobook, and I definitely enjoyed that part of the experience. I just didn't like any part of the story, and I didn't like the characters, and there were so many things I just didn't like about this book. But really, I kind of blame it on me because I don't like adult fiction. So I just thought that this was going to be an exception to my rule, but it wasn't. So unfortunately, I didn't like this book. I know a bunch of other people love this book, so it's probably a really great book. It just wasn't for me. Question number 6 is biggest surprise, and this was definitely a legitimate actual surprise to me because I went into this book thinking I wasn't going to like it, and I was just well, I have a free Audible credit, I'll just listen to it. I need something fun to listen to. It sounds fun, people don't like it, but you never know. I don't always agree with people. So that is Caraval by Stephanie Garber, And I seriously loved this book when I read it. It was just like, even now, like thinking back on it, I'm like, I really want to reread this book. And I don't know if I want to re-listen to the audiobook or if I want to read this physical copy that I bought myself like a month or so ago. And I'm just like, I really love this book for some reason. I can see why people didn't like it, like in some aspects, because the main character's not exactly likable. She kind of makes some silly mistakes or just decisions in general. But I really like that in this kind of context because it is sort of like a game, you know, and like it's kind of fun to have like the main character like decide between these two like really impossible decisions and like see which one she chooses, because like, you know, I feel like in the beginning of the game she has this like one really tough choice and it's like, how do you choose, like how do you know, like, you know, I feel like it's not really the main character's fault. I feel like it's more of the game's fault, so don't hate the player, hate the game, honey. Question number 7 is favorite new author, either a debut author or one that is new to you. And for that one, I chose both Brittany Cavallaro and Zoraida Cordova. Those are the two authors that I've read their books this year and have absolutely loved them so much. Like, I am just like, I love Labyrinth, Lost, and Bruja Born, and then I love A Study in Charlotte. And I'm just like, I love those series so much, and they've brought so much joy to me this year, and I'm so glad that I've read them. I'm so glad that Zoraida reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to read Bruja Born, and I'm so glad I accepted, because it's just like, I love that series so much. I love the Latinx representation in both of those books. I love the bisexual representation in Labyrinth Lost. It's just a wonderful series, in my opinion. It's just so wonderful. And then I love A Study in Charlotte, and I love that Rocky recommended it to like basically everyone in the world. And it's just so wonderful. They're both such worthy book series, and they have such a special place in my heart now, and I'm just so glad I read them. Question number 8 is newest fictional crush, and I had a really hard time trying to figure that one out because I read mostly YA, and I don't get crushes on the book characters anymore. Like, I used to when I was like 18 and under, but now that I'm 23, I just read the books and find them enjoyable, and I don't really get crushes on the characters ever, like never ever. But I did read Much Ado About Nothing this year, and I am seriously in love with Benedict. Like, every iteration of Benedict in anything I've ever seen, I am in love with him. Like, I love Benedict so much. I don't even know why. I just think he's so funny, and like, I love the banter that he has with Beatrice, and it's just like, oh my god. He's literally up there. He's up there with Horatio and Hamlet, and you know, I love Benedict. He's amazing. Question number 9 is newest favorite character, and that goes to Jamie Watson from A Study in Charlotte. I have absolutely loved reading from his perspective, which is so strange because for so long I was pretty much anti-reading books that have a male main character. It's just something that I've like kind of stayed away from since I was probably about like 6 or 7 years old. I just never really wanted to read books about boys. So I am just like so surprised and impressed that I love reading from Jamie's perspective in A Study in Charlotte, because I don't know, I really connect to him. I really can relate to him in some way. He's so awkward but kind of like funny, and like, I don't know, I love him. He's just great. So for the next 2 questions, I have one answer, and so the first question is a book that made me cry, and the second question is a book that made me laugh or happy or something like that. So for those 2 questions, I'm going to go with Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kahn. And this book made me cry so much. I'm just like, holy moly, but it also made me super happy. It was such a fun, light, contemporary read, but it also made me cry in the parts where like it was talking about asexual representation, bisexual representation, biromanticism, you know, anything that had to do with race. I was crying so much, but I cry a lot during books, so I mean, really almost any of these books could have been that answer for the which book made me cry, because I just cry a lot when I read. But this one definitely was kind of both. It made me cry and it made me happy, and I really loved it, and I loved kind of getting to feel a little more seen in this book. I felt like the representation was done so well, and I don't know, I just really liked it. I thought it was really great. Question 12 is most beautiful book you've bought this year or have received. And for this one, I chose Final Draft by Riley Redgate. And just look at how freaking gorgeous this cover is. Like, holy moly, Look at that. It is so beautiful. Like, look at the spine. Oh, it's so gorgeous. And then watch. Oh my gosh, the end pages are so beautiful. If you can't see that, it's kind of like a like bluish green, really light color. It's gorgeous. And then look at that. Holy moly. I'm just like, when I saw that, I like gasped. I was like, I was not expecting it. It's so gorgeous. And just even like the book jacket is so pretty. I am so excited for this book. I've heard so many good things. I'm pretty sure the protagonist is fat and bisexual, but don't hold me on that. I'm really excited for it though. And it's a gorgeous book. It's really pretty. And the very last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So for this one, I've chosen 3 different books, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, Legendary by Stephanie Garber, and of course, Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. So I'm planning on reading all 3 of those books this year. I better freaking read Children of Blood and Bone this year, or I'm going to die. But I'm planning on reading it after I finish Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, so I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to finish this book sometime in the very, very near future, because I'm really excited about it, and this needs to happen. Alright, so that was my entire mid-year book freakout tag. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. In the comments down below, give me some books that you've read this year that you really enjoyed. Give me some books that you're really excited to read, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!